Hey there! Today we're going to be learning about how to wedge your clay, which is a very important step you're going to do every single time you get your clay out. So we're going to start from stage number 1. So when you get your clay at home, it's going to be in this nice block square shape. This is brand new clay cut off of the block straight from the factory. So this very first time you technically don't have to wedge your clay, but this is going to be the only time, because after this you're going to be crumbling up your clay. You're going to have all these scraps. Kind of think of it like when you're making cookies. You cut out all your shapes and at the end there's still good dough. You just have to get it together and knead it, and then you can roll it back out again. So exact same concept with clay. So let's go ahead and talk about wedging. So I'm just going to rip off some of this. Okay, and when I fold this into a ball, I've essentially made a little air pocket right there. And air pockets are one of the 3 reasons the clay explodes. So we want to make sure to get rid of those. And wedging gets rid of air bubbles and pockets. It also makes the clay easier to work with. So for example, let's say I just leave that ball of clay here and I'm working on something else. And this clay, as it's sitting out, the canvas is going to be pulling some moisture out of it, as well as the air. So the edges of my clay might start to get a little bit harder because it's been starting to dry out, whereas the inside is going to stay nice and squishy. And so wedging it mixes all that clay up so that it's all the same consistency and it's going to be easier to work with. So let's again talk about this. So I'm done working. I've got a bunch of pieces of clay. This is still good clay to use. So I'm going to put them all together. But again, there's all these cracks and air bubbles in it. So how do we get rid of them? Wedging. So to wedge, you're going to take your 2 hands, okay, kind of the balls of your hands, and you're going to, I like to stand up because you can use your weight and gravity to kind of push down on it. And I'm going to basically have the clay right there between my 2 hands, and I'm going to push down and forward. I'm kind of rocking it, okay? And so I'm going to kind of, as I do it, I'm going to pick it up, okay? So I don't want to keep it flat and just keep doing this, okay? I want to pick it up so I'm changing the angle of it, okay? So I'm going to push it this way. So every time you wedge, you kind of want to rock it. So it's kind of rolling on itself. Now, the very minimum that you can wedge this is the rule of 10. So every time, even though this is brand new clay, I used it 1 time, I tore it apart, I'm still gonna wedge this at least 10 times. Now, if you talk to professional potters, they might say 100, okay? So if you're really feeling like your clay is not working out that well, then keep wedging it. The more effort you put into it, the better it's gonna turn out. So let's talk about if your clay is getting a little hard, which is going to happen to you because we're gonna be using the same piece of clay over and over. So let's say my clay is kind of hard. I've got some inconsistencies in it. It's just not working out for me. So I'm gonna tear it up into smaller pieces, and I'm gonna add just a little bit of water. So you can use just your hand to kind of tap some in, okay? And I'm not adding a lot of water because I don't want it to start getting too sticky and liquidy. So I added just a little bit of water. You can also use your sponge, just tap your sponge into your clay. And I'm gonna mix that up and wedge it again. And that water is gonna get distributed throughout the clay and it's gonna become easier to work with. So that is wedging 101.